worked with my owners, resolving issues, worked with my cleaning teams, maintenance teams, and I always know that in the background, Hospitable is working for me, ensuring that the guests are taken care of in the way that they need to be. My name is Chris Hetzner, and I'm the owner of Boost Rentals, a co-hosting property management company that manages properties throughout the United States, and we are currently in Flora Door East Austin. I've been hosting now by about 5 years for my own properties and going on 3 managing properties for other owners throughout the US. I was working in the corporate world in the past, and I wanted somewhere to kind of play around building a new business. And one of the most exciting options was investing in homes and turning them into short-term rentals. And it really connected with my past as a restaurant manager, hospitality experience, and I thought it was something that I could really excel at. So this property is probably one of the most interesting properties that I manage in terms of the way that the owners decide to decorate it, because it's got so much character brought in from they themselves. And what that essentially means when you walk in the home, it is full of beautiful plants. All the artwork is like plant or outdoorsy related. They love their cats. They have their cats in these funny little like outfits and paintings on the walls. It's a 2-bedroom home with 2 baths as well, located in East Austin, which is a pretty prime location in this city that gives you access to all kinds of amazing coffee shops, great restaurants nearby. And it's just really curated, given it's a small space, into a really homey area where you can relax on the couch. They have a dining room table that can actually be built out of the coffee table itself. They've got all the amenities that you could possibly want, from different ways of making coffee, different tea setups, and then they even have this really cool cedar hot tub that's actually located in the backyard. You actually go through this little bamboo trail that at night is actually lit by a bunch of solar lanterns. And once you go out there, it's this cedar built hot tub that actually has a wood burning stove right next to it that you fill up with this kind of shower faucet type setup. Throw logs in the stove, give it 3 or 4 hours, and then it's at the 100 degrees or somewhere close to that, and use it as an actual hot tub. So it's a really cool curated experience that I think says a lot about the personalities of the owners, and made it into this really beautiful place to stay, so close to downtown and everything that you get to do in Austin. One of the biggest challenges that I face every day is being super responsive to our guests. Being super responsive with guests, but also giving them great information related to their questions. That is what Hospitable helps me overcome every single day, because I'm able to put in all the dynamic information for each of my properties. Most of the communication is automated to our guests, and it makes them feel like they're getting a really customer-centric response every single time, though a lot of times that's actually automated. So it's that challenge in terms of speed of communication that Hospitable helps me out with literally right now as we're talking, certainly. In this particular property, we have a cedar hot tub, and that cedar hot tub requires some very detailed steps to get it up and running, make sure it's managed appropriately, communicating with the guests. And because we've been able to dynamically load all that information into Hospitable, it gives them real-time information, troubleshooting information, and access to everything they would need as they go through that setup of something that's really unfamiliar with someone else. And having a cedar hot tub that's lit by an outdoor fireplace is a really unique offering that if we didn't have that automation in place, it would be incredibly hard to provide service around it in a timely manner when people are here trying to figure that out. The reason I started using Hospitable is because as I expanded, I've gone from just a couple properties to the high 40s at this point. I needed to find a way that I could really structure the guest experience, but also make sure that we were getting back to people within 1 or 2 minutes max at any time. And the best way to do that was by having automated messaging capabilities. So messaging capabilities were by far better than any of the softwares that I'd used. And it was that scale that pushed us to do that. And also allowing my team to focus on issues as they arise, as opposed to just the day-to-day communications that are required of any guest. It's improved it in so many ways. The biggest way that it's helped me out is just by knowing that every single guest is getting the right information at the right time throughout their stay, regardless of what property that we're at. So nothing falls through the cracks. I can depend on it. I can work with my owners, resolving issues, work with my cleaning teams, maintenance teams, and I always know that in the background, Hospitable is working for me, ensuring that the guests are taken care of in the way that they need to be. Okay, so a specific time that Hospitable has helped me or like saved me in a certain scenario was, I can't remember if it was like Thanksgiving or Christmas, but essentially what happens during the holidays is all of our cleaning teams ask for certain days off, and we try to accommodate our calendars so that our calendars will accommodate the fact that they want Christmas off or Thanksgiving, whatever it might be. And ultimately, we were trying to find a way to always do this utilizing Airbnb. But I reached out to their support, basically told them I needed to put in some very specific blocks on calendars for very particular dates. And they were able to help me ensure that that was happening across my entire portfolio, rather than using the means of Airbnb, which really, if someone were to create a booking and then remove it based on some kind of standardized rules we had in place for the calendar, we wouldn't actually know that the problem was fixed in the long run. So their customer support team really walked me through putting a bunch of checks and balances in place related to how our calendar could be booked to ensure that we were accommodating our cleaning teams. I do recommend it all the time, and it is all about automated messaging to me. It makes life so much easier knowing that your process is being followed at all times, and also puts you in a position where your customer support team, which you'll eventually hire if you're scaling further and further, you can't do it all yourself, is ultimately not expanding proportionally to the size of your business's expansion, but you can save tons of money by hiring less support staff and maybe utilizing one support staff for every 20 properties as opposed to one for every 10 or 12 properties. So it has saved me tons of money, and also makes me feel really comfortable that the guest communication is happening in a timely manner that accommodates the guest. I really like the fact that they do town halls. It's a really interesting way to go about their business and gain feedback from hosts like myself. Something else that I noticed that really influenced my business is how their customer support team works. This is very small, but they actually use emojis throughout the process. I know that sounds kind of stupid, but they put a very personal touch on their own customer service that has impacted the way that I serve my guests. They actually taught me something. So it's this feeling that there is discourse back and forth between hosts like myself and the business that truly makes me think that we're being accommodated in the best fashion that we can. One other thing that is really amazing for this company, just being a tech person myself, is that they actually have the roadmap published. So rather than me, wanting new features, going to message boards that may not be, fully answered like a lot of companies do, you can log in and see the roadmap, know exactly when they're going to push out a new feature for automated locks, know when they're going to accommodate direct bookings, which happened in the past. And so it gives you a really solid foundation for understanding how you can progress with the software in maturing the operations of your own business. I have been using Hospitable's AI integrations, mainly just in the chats with our guests. The little button that you can click to automatically generate a response is super helpful in ensuring that regardless of how we feel about a situation, we're approaching it in a really non-biased manner and then going through and quickly cleansing to always sound accommodating, and it is very, very helpful for my team. I use smart locks at all of my properties, and I use Hospitable to automate them at all of my properties. I learned early on that Schlage on-code is a really great lock for this purpose. So the functions that we use are all the smart lock code creating tools within Hospitable, also the emergency codes that get sent out as well. And then lastly, just in the last few months or so, they went ahead and put in a feature to actually do the battery management and all the alerts related to when you're actually going to run out of battery. So we use the full gamut, mainly related to the Schlage locks and that integration to Hospitable. I use smart locks because not only do my guests need to get in, in a safe manner, knowing that other people do not have access to our unit. But I also want to make sure that they continue to being safe at our property, because we also send in maintenance and other vendors to fix things, which we do not want them to have a recurring way of actually accessing our properties. So safety is a huge part for us. And then lastly, I use smart locks along with lock boxes at my properties. So what we do is, if for some reason the smart lock goes down, we have a backup plan always in place where we have a lock box that we direct them to so they can always get access to the home. So we actually use a little bit of a hybrid approach. Know your numbers and the economic outlook for the home you're considering purchasing, or the home that you've already purchased that you're considering renting out, to set a good expectation for you. It's really easy to go out and find some information as to like market averages on annual revenue, and make sure you've done that research before you make an investment to ensure that the cash flow you can expect will actually provide the return on investment that you're looking for from your property. One piece of advice that I would give any prospective short-term rental property owner or property manager is to utilize all the automated technology you possibly can when doing this. And the reason you need to do that is so you can ensure that the core steps of your process are adhered to at any moment, so that you can then be available when needed to support the guests that are in your home, because it's those extra few minutes of making a quick phone call after something went wrong, or finding a vendor at the last minute to fix the AC that went down on a hot summer day, that goes a long way for your listing, and ensuring that you maintain high reviews, and that will be the lifeblood of your business in the long run. A particular positive interaction that I received recently was from a woman that actually stayed at our home. The third floor of the home flooded the first night there. And in the morning when they woke up at like 6:30, 7 a.m., they were able to make a phone call to my support team and let them know what was going on. And so we actually moved her to a few homes right next door, which thankfully a good friend of mine managed and were available. But she called essentially to say that we saved the weekend for her daughter, who was her 21st birthday in Nashville, and told me she was just shocked by how quickly that we were able to do that. And it really made me feel proud of both, the way that my team handled the response, but also the business that I built, that we've built such great connections in Nashville in particular, to where we can call up friends. We have such a big network of people that we can rely on, and that we all look out for each other, that the guest was happy. My customer service team did a great job, was able to leverage all of those relationships this type of industry has allowed me to, cultivate. So it was just a fun experience to see it all come together.